Laser sights can deter threats and aid in quick target identification, enhancing your ability to protect your family, home, and country. Crimson Trace, making laser sights standard equipment. Learn more at crimsontrace.com.
This is Tom Gresham's Gun Talk, now available on iTunes and other podcast clients, and on the free Gun Dealio smartphone app for iPhone and Android. Feel free to call Tom now at 1-TOM-TALK-GUN or 866-825-5486, or email Tom at guntalk.com. Now, once again, here's Tom.
All right, reminder. If you want to be a part of the conversation, just call me. Call it 866-TALK-GUN or Tom Talk Gun. Either one of them gets you right in here. And we are open lines if you'd like to chat. Always looking for range reports, guns you've taken to the range, things you have shot, maybe something new you bought, maybe a custom gun that you just had some work done on. Always like to get those reports. One of the things we get questions about frequently, people say, well, how do I become a gunsmith? I'd like to become a gunsmith. What's the process? And then, of course, also I wonder, what's it like to be a gunsmith? Is that a decent career path these days? Is there a need for that? Well, we decided let's talk to a real live gunsmith, somebody who actually makes a living doing this. And not only that, this gunsmith, and I've mentioned this before, we need women gunsmiths. We got a woman gunsmith. So we have high quality, and we have something we could talk about. Jodi Gritus just joins us right now from Robar Guns. Hey, Jodi, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing, Tom?
Well, excellent. All right, first question is, how did you become a gunsmith?
So when it comes down to the actual process, I live in Phoenix, Arizona, and for 2 years I went to Yavapai College because they're one of the very few community colleges or colleges in general that offer a gunsmithing program. Both my husband and I actually went together, so it worked out really well for both of us.
Mm-hmm. Because there are only 2 or 3 places where you can go to get that kind of training. Now, is Yavapai in Prescott?
It is in Prescott, Arizona, yes.
I thought it was. I remember that when I was there. So what motivates you to become a gunsmith? I mean, it's not a common career path for anyone, and I would say probably less so for women.
Yeah. One of the things mostly is just that I was working a boring dead-end job, and office type work never really appealed to me. I wanted to do something with my hands. And when I found out that there was a gunsmithing school in Prescott, I thought, hey, and when I told my husband, he wished that he would have thought of it, which was hilarious. And then he ended up going with me anyways. But, I've been around firearms my whole life with my dad, but I've also, I got more and more into shooting when about my late teens.
Right. Okay. So how long does that process? Was it a 2-year program there?
It is a 2-year. They have an optional 3-year, and I think they even have an optional 4-year program now, but it can get quite costly at that point.
Sure, you're spending a lot of money on your education. At a certain point, you got to get out there and make some money. So I got a question for you. Is it true that you are known as the high power princess?
Yes, that's correct.
Do you like working on Browning high powers? Is that how that came about?
Absolutely. The story behind that also is when I first started at Robar, we have our head gunsmith, Marty, who's taught me so much since I've been there. I really appreciate him and everyone I work with. But one of the things he kind of passed down to me was high powers because he said they were a pain in the butt and he kind of didn't want to deal with them. So it became my niche.
Give it to Jodi. Sure. We'll dump all this on Jodi.
Exactly. It worked out perfect, though. So I'm glad it did.
All right. So it's funny. You mentioned something I think we probably ought to touch on is if you go to a gunsmithing school, when you come out, it's like everything else. You now know some things, but you don't know nearly enough. You need to apprentice under somebody. You need to work under somebody, don't you?
Yes. For the most part, I would say so. That's kind of like what I was saying with our head gunsmith, Marty. I've learned so much even more in detail from just working with him and some of the other experienced gunsmiths at Robar. The basics of Yavapai, also the best thing I got under my belt there was the machining experience, to actually get on a lathe in a mill and get comfortable with those machines before you're actually put in the real life situation of working on somebody's firearm. You know, it can be an intimidating job at times, believe me.
Well, when somebody sends you their firearm, their gun to work on, they have an attraction or appreciation of that. They're not sending you a piece of junk because it can cost hundreds to thousands of dollars to get this kind of custom work done. So you're being entrusted with something important to somebody.
Absolutely. I try to when I work on any gun, really. Of course, I'm thinking of high powers right now, but when I work on any firearm, I try to treat it as if it's my own, and make sure everything is basically as flawless as it can be when it's ready to go.
All right, give me an idea. If I send you a high power and I say, all right, Jodi, just do whatever it is you want to do to this thing to make it really run and to make it a sweet machine, what are you going to do to it?
Well, it's funny you asked that, because right when you did, I went ahead and grabbed my high power to take a look at it. First things first, for me, for comfort, is going to be a beaver tail along with a high grip modification, so you can get that real nice, comfortable grip, which we all know is necessary for shooting properly. For high powers especially, you're going to want new sights. I did Trijicon Novak sights, the Tritium Novak sights. I said the wrong thing.
Okay. Right.
I've got the extended safety, because the stock safeties on them are not the best. When you do the beaver tail, you got to get a ring style hammer, just so it can fit in that little notch there and you don't get that hammer bite.
Right.
And then, you know, it's funny, I overlooked it because I'm just looking at the aesthetics right now, but the first and foremost thing I'm going to recommend is a trigger job. On a lot of
I was going to ask you,
powers,
trigger job.
Yeah.
do you rebarrel them, or do you go with the whatever barrel's in there?
You know, a lot of times I can use the stock barrel. Most of the ones I see are in really good shape. But there have been plenty of times I've installed. Usually, I'll use a bar stow barrel. Fit a new bar stow barrel in there and match grade.
Okay, I got to ask you a question. I'm sure you've been asked a lot. Obviously, Robar, for those who don't know, Robar Guns, it's ROBARGUNS, robarguns.com, known throughout the world for its metal finishing, but also gunsmithing. And tons and tons and tons of 1911s go through there. So someone asks you, okay, Jodi, why the high power? What is it about that it appeals to you?
You know, I've mostly just gotten comfortable with high powers. And as you know, most 1911s are chambered in 45 versus a high power being in 9mm. And I prefer to shoot 9. There are plenty of 1911s out there made in 9mm, or I could make one myself if I wanted to, which I do want to one day. But yeah, the high power, like I said, it kind of just got passed on to me, and I got so comfortable with it. And so, I don't know, I guess one of the things also is shaping the beaver tail. It's kind of like a little work of art, if you will. I do work on 1911s as well. I just
Let me ask you a
don't
question.
do it as often.
All right.
Go ahead.
How long have you been a gunsmith?
I have been a gunsmith for 4 years, just over 4 years at Robar.
If someone comes up to you and says, and I'm sure they do, I've thought about becoming a gunsmith, is that a decent career? Is that something I ought to consider? What's your answer?
Absolutely. It's something that you look forward to going to work every day. I mean, don't get me wrong, you get stuck on some stuff, or something doesn't work the way you expect it to, and you have to, give it a go again. But that's expected with any job. But it's pretty exciting to go in and do what I do. It's a really great career choice. Money isn't the greatest, but I think that's the part of the price you pay in order to do something that you really like to do.
Yeah, and you're dealing with people who all share the same passion, and there's a lot to be said for that.
Exactly, yes. There are so many passionate gun owners out there.
It's very cool. Jodi, look, I got to get you back on again another time when we have some more time. I can tell you have the passion, and you also have the knowledge and experience, and I would love to tap into that sometime.
Absolutely. I would love to be back on the show.
All right, we'll do that. Thank you so much. That's Jodi Gritus from Robar Guns. Check it out, robarguns.com. That's just pretty cool stuff right there. If you'd like to join us, if you've been thinking about becoming a gunsmith, or if you are a gunsmith, I'd love to get your take on all of that. What's it like? What's that career path like? Is it something, if you're a gunsmith now, is it something that if you had a chance to do it all over again, would you do it? 866-TALK-GUN.
HSM Ammunition has been loading quality ammo since 1968. HSM makes a complete line of centerfire loads, including long range, cowboy action, lead-free, dangerous game, and even a designated line of hard-cast bear ammunition for maximum penetration to stop game now. The latest 223 option from HSM, Varmint Blue, features a 55-grain Sierra Blitz King bullet. HSM Ammunition at your local shooting sports retailer.
If you're like me, you don't have money to burn, but you still want to buy guns, ammo, and accessories. That's why we created Gun Dealio. That's a free smartphone app. Just download it and start getting the deals. Could be discounts, offers of free magazines for your gun, or you could be the first to hear about new stuff from gun makers. Here's how it works. With Gun Dealio on your phone, you get alerts when you enter a gun store. Special deals, you know. You don't have to do a thing. It'll do a lot of other cool things, like let you watch gun videos and listen to Gun Talk podcast. Plus, check it anytime for hundreds of deals and offers. Getting more while spending less. Smart, huh? Gun Dealio. Made in America. Gluten-free. At the App Store and Google Play or gundealio.com.
For 36 years, the U.S. Sportsmen's Alliance has been fighting to protect hunting, fishing, and trapping for sportsmen from coast to coast. Today, we are under constant attack from extremist animal rights groups who want to end your ability to hunt in the U.S. Join us to protect our sporting heritage and our way of life outdoors. To join or for more information on how you can help, go to ussportsman.org. That's ussportsman.org.
When the U.S. military's elite units and law enforcement agencies across the globe demanded innovation and reliability, they didn't settle. They chose Sig Sauer. When world champion professional shooters demanded precision accuracy, they didn't settle. They chose Sig Sauer. So it's no surprise more and more civilian gun owners are refusing to settle for anything less. They're choosing Sig Sauer firearms, ammunition, electro-optics, suppressors, air guns, and training. Sig Sauer. Never settle.
Interesting stuff. I'm following the reactions on the part of both the left and the right to the nomination of Judge Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court, Donald Trump's nomination. With any luck, perhaps we get Justice Kavanaugh. Judge Kavanaugh, of course, is a constitutionalist. He doesn't think it is the role of the courts to basically change society the way it thinks it should be changed, which seems to be a thing from the left. It's kind of like, well, we can't get this through Congress, which, make sure you understand, is another way of saying the people don't want this, okay? Because if they did, then they could pass it through Congress. So the people don't want this, but we think this would be good. So we're going to go around Congress. We're going to go around the people. And we're going to get the courts to issue rulings that change laws, that change America, that change society, and reform America into a shape that they like. The Barack Obama concept of to fundamentally change America, which is what he said he was elected to do. To fundamentally change America. No, you weren't. Sorry, go away. So I'm looking at the reactions to the nomination of Judge Kavanaugh. And I see this one from Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut. Gotta love this one. Judge Kavanaugh is the worst nightmare for any advocate of common sense gun violence prevention. Any measure preventing gun violence is at risk if it's Justice Kavanaugh. Let me go over that again. Common sense gun violence prevention. And yet, let's juxtapose two things together. We have that, and then we have, remember the shooting only a few weeks ago at the Capitol Gazette in Annapolis, Maryland, where a man goes in and kills 5 people? Have you seen marches on the basis of that? Have you seen the left talking about common sense gun violence prevention and linking it to this? No. Why? No, it's not happened. Why? Simple. Because the murderer in the Capitol Gazette case used the wrong gun. Say what? Yeah. He used the wrong gun to murder people. He should have used the right gun. He should have used an AR-15. And then we would have a reason to march. They don't care about violence. They don't care about murder. You know it when they ignore this kind of event, this kind of murder, because the man used a shotgun instead of a semi-automatic rifle. They only care about the narrative. They only care about anything that advances their gun ban agenda. They don't care about violence. They don't care about murder. If you use the wrong gun to murder people, that is, a gun that doesn't help them advance their agenda, then it didn't happen. Isn't that a weird thing? There's no protest. There's no marches. There's no wailing and gnashing of teeth because he used a shotgun. And why would that matter? Here it is. Here it is. Because the gun ban industry knows that if they rail against shotguns, America will recognize them as the nut bars that they are. And they will understand that you really are not talking about trying to prevent violence. You're really talking about trying to get rid of guns. And that's what it is. So they ignore the cases that don't advance their narrative. Really is that simple. Let's see. Matthew's on line 5 out of Metairie, Louisiana. Matthew, you have an interesting thought here. What's up?
Yeah, I was just wondering, have any FFLs considering taking cryptocurrency? And if so, do you think that this is a way we can get around these big banks basically cracking down on our activities?
The answer to the first question is I don't know if anybody's considered using crypto. The answer to the second is no, I don't think it's a way to go around that. Because at this point in time, it's cryptocurrency, my view, my personal view now, is that it's not trusted, it's not understood, it's not widespread, it's not in use. I wouldn't buy anything using it. I just wouldn't. So therefore, if I wouldn't, other people won't. So I don't think it's a viable alternative at this point. It's possible at some point it may be, but I think as of today, if you're running a store, and look, there are places online that will take Bitcoin. Hope your Bitcoin's worth something these days. But there are not many, I don't think. But it's an interesting idea, and I think to your point, and thanks for the call, I think to your point, we need to be thinking about possible alternatives. But still, at this point, I'm going to spin all the way back to our previous caller and say, maybe we ought to start all trying to bank through our local bankers, kind of like you doing business with your local gun stores. the ones who will take care of you when the big box stores will ignore you or will close down or will decide they don't want to carry a particular type of gun because they want to do virtue signaling, i.e. Dick's Sporting Goods and the Field & Stream stores that are part of Dick's. Just saying, okay? Richard's on line 1 out of Green Bay, Wisconsin. Hey, Richard.
Hi, how you doing? Say, I just wanted to
get
hear
your
feedback. Can you hear me?
Yes, I got you. Go ahead.
Okay, just want to get your feedback on what you would do or how would you handle the situation if you've got let's say a gun-unfriendly person who decides they're going to out you in social situations every time you go out carrying.
Explain to me a situation so I know what you're talking about.
Okay. Example, significant other that decides to tell the social party you're with, well, this person must be a gun nut because they're carrying. Or this person thinks they are unsafe, so they have to carry a gun all the time.
Wait, did this happen to you?
It has happened to me a couple of times, yes.
When you say significant other, what are you talking about? A wife, a girlfriend, somebody you're dating?
A girlfriend, yeah. A girlfriend.
Yeah, dump her like a bad habit. Get rid of her. Walk out the door. I mean, she is being passively aggressive, and she is mean and nasty, and you don't ever want to be seen with her again. Done. Over. Goodbye.
All right.
I mean, seriously, this person wants to... Look, this person wants to do you harm. She is trying to harm you. She's trying to either embarrass you or put you into a bad light somewhere. She is being aggressive against you in a mean, nasty, and cowardly way. It's never going to get better. Do yourself a favor. Erase all of her contacts from your social media. Go away. Go find somebody else. Go to a shooting range and find somebody you can date. It'll work better. Trust me, look, thanks for the call, but man, that is nasty. That is ugly, nasty. Have you ever, Jim says it's dangerous too. The whole idea is concealed carry is other people shouldn't know. It's safer for all concerned if they don't. So have you ever run into a situation like that? Have you ever had somebody try to out you to tell other people that you're carrying or that you're a gun person? If so, what was your reaction? Holy cow. 866-TALK-GUN or call me at Tom Talk Gun.
Gun Talk encourages you to support the local sporting goods store, gun stores, ATV dealers, and other local businesses in your area who advertise on this station and Gun Talk. Only together can we protect our rights. You're listening to Washington Times opinion page regular contributor Tom Gresham.
Here's a question for you. Have you ever used, emphasis on that word, used your firearm in self-defense? Used in this case doesn't mean necessarily pulling the trigger. Has it ever come into play in a self-defense situation? Now, I'll get to the meaning of that or why I asked that way in just a second here. First of all, here's a story out of Little Rock, or actually North Little Rock police said a suspected intruder was shot Tuesday morning while breaking into a home. 34-year-old resident told them that he was watching a movie. This is 11 a.m., okay? 11 a.m. Was watching a movie with a female guest when he heard an individual kicking his front door. The North Little Rock man grabbed his handgun and told the intruder, quote, "Stop kicking the door, I've got a gun." But the kicking continued until the door was forced open, according to the police report. The report states that the homeowner fired 2 shots from the kitchen at the intruder as he was entering the living room. The man who was shot stumbled away, didn't die, was arrested, etc., etc. The reason I asked the question the way I did, and that's this. According to the CDC and the information that they gathered but hid, but we found, law-abiding U.S. citizens use firearms for self-defense 6,500 times a day. Let that sink in. 6,500 times a day in America, somebody uses a gun for self-defense. Now, clearly, in most cases, the vast, vast, vast majority of the cases, they don't fire a shot. Most criminals leave when confronted with a gun. You saw the video probably in the last couple of weeks of the restaurant where the guy goes in and punches out the lady manager and then goes after the waitress, and the waitress pulls out her gun and points at this guy who's just violently assaulted this other woman, and big Mr. Tough Guy stopped in his tracks, says, a couple of things like trying to save face, but he leaves because he's got a gun pointed at him. Well, that's what I'm talking about. In the vast majority of the cases, 6,500 times a day, no one fires a shot. There are people who say, well, that's just crazy. It can't be that number. Well, think about this. There are, 330 million people in the United States? I'm not good at math, but I think that if you divide that out, that's a really, really, really low percentage of 330 million, 6,500. And those are not NRA numbers. They're not my numbers. That number's from an organization that tends to be anti-gun and would not want to promote the idea that guns are used successfully in self-defense. 6,500 times a day, people use guns in self-defense. Interesting. Just wondered if you'd ever had the opportunity for that. Here's a little news piece out of Delaware that's good. The governor signs a bill legalizing Sunday deer hunting. There are not very many places that have these ancient laws prohibiting hunting on Sundays, but evidently Delaware did. So Governor John Carney signed Senate Bill 198 into law, expanding hunting opportunities in Delaware by eliminating the prohibition against hunting for deer on Sundays and allowing the harvesting of deer on Sundays through the deer depredation programs. That's pretty cool. That'll work. Oh, excuse me. 866 Talk Gun gets you in there. Ken's on line 3 in Medford, Oregon. Hey, Ken, you're on Gun Talk.
Hey, I have a unique situation. I went to the range with my Savage Trophy Hunter 270. I had just had a new scope installed at my local gun shop. I actually put it together, and then they torqued everything down and bore-sighted it. And when I was out at the range, from dead cold, it shoots low and to the right for the first shot.
Okay.
As you shoot it, without making any changes other than targeting 0, it moves up and to the center. So it went just a little bit less to the right, a little bit less down. The 4th, 5th, and 6th shots were inside, I'm using a scorekeeper target, were inside the orange ring, but they were working diagonally to the left without changing the sighting or anything.
Right. How many times did you recreate that scenario a few times, or did you just do it the one time?
I've recreated it 3 times from dead cold, 3 different days.
I'm thinking a couple of things. Well, now is the first of all, did you re-sight it in? Did you adjust your crosshairs so that the first shot hits where you want it to hit?
Well, yeah, I did that by making minor changes, but it still goes up and to the left.
Right. I'm getting that. I'm just trying to get us locked in. So your first shot now is hitting dead center. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. But what's happening is this point of impact is shifting as you shoot, as the barrel heats up, which is what's going on, more than likely. Because the scope, if your first shot out of a cold barrel is always going to the right place, then the scope is not off. It's not wobbling around. It, to me, tells me that your rifle, and give me an idea of how much drift in inches and at 100 yards we're getting here.
Okay, the bullseye that I'm using is a scorekeeper target. It's a 2-inch bullseye, 2-inch 10 ring with a 1-inch orange dot. And if I hit the first one in the center of the orange, by the 3rd shot, I'm out of the orange. And I'm out.
Which is how far? Just give me a number.
2 inches.
2 inches.
So from the first shot to the 10th shot, it's 2 inches up and to the left.
Okay, so you're getting a movement of 2 inches with 10 shots?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, and I've witnessed that on a lot of rifles. Basically, your rifle's heating up, and generally on a rifle like this, you're going to get about 3 shots that you'll get a decent group on, and after that, it's all bets are off. They're going to be drifting all over the place. The rifle heats up, the barrel heats up. It's why when we go out and sight these in, we shoot 3 shots and we let it rest for 15 or 20 minutes to cool down. You could try changing the bedding on it, but, I mean, this is just a physical property of the barrel heating up.
Well, my curiosity there is I've been a cowboy action shooter, and I also have a Marlin 336 30-30, and with the banded barrels on all of the lever actions, I've never had this issue. I'm wondering, and I've talked to a couple of people, this has a synthetic stock, and they tell me that because it's synthetic stock, it's more of a floating type barrel.
Could be. Well, here's the thing. The bedding could be a floating setup. Here's something you can try. This is going to sound really goofy, okay? But it's worth a try. If they free-floated the barrel, loosen the stock screws so that you can basically almost take the action out of the stock, okay? You with me?
Yes.
And I've used just a piece of rubber band or even one piece of a a business card in there, and put it in the trough about an inch back from the end of the stock, the forend rather, and then tighten it back up so you're getting positive pressure on that barrel out at that point. Try that and see if it changes. Sometimes that can make a real difference. But I will tell you that a 2-inch movement in 10 shots at 100 yards doesn't disturb me a lot on a fairly lightweight or medium weight hunting rifle. That is real standard. And honestly, if you're going to be hunting deer, you're not going to get 10 shots at them anyway. You're not, you'll be shooting at something moving, and 2 inches is not going to do the deal. But try that. Try putting a little bit of upward pressure on the barrel and see if that changes it. But at the same time, I'm just saying, that doesn't bother me. Look, I appreciate the call. All right, question for the crowd out there. Does that bother you? 10 shots, you're getting 2 inches of movement at 100 yards because the barrel's heating up. Cause for concern, or am I being too cavalier on that? What's your take? 866-TALK-GUN.
Brownells has gone retro. Check out Brownells' new line of retro AR-15 and AR-style 308 rifles at brownells.com/retro. Whether you're looking for Eugene Stoner's original 308 design, the famous M16A1, Air Force 601, or the XM177 carbine, Brownells has the classic, new production, old-school rifle of your dreams. Own the firearm you used in basic training, carried in service, or that Grandpa always talks about. See more at brownells.com/retro.
You got your carry permit, and that's good. But you know you could use more training. Get the DVDs, which have what you need. Springfield Armory presents Concealed Carry 1 and Concealed Carry 2 with Bata Group. Learn specific concealed carry skills from Top Gun fighting trainers. Get trained. Be prepared. This really is life and death. ShopGunTalk.com. That's ShopGunTalk.com.
Perhaps more than any other landscape, wetlands embody the life-giving abundance that nature has to offer. And perhaps more than any other organization, Ducks Unlimited is working to ensure that our continent's wetlands not only survive, but thrive for generations well beyond this one. The time is now to band together. The time is now to rescue our wetlands.
It's really pretty simple. Your carry gun is a life-saving device. It must be with you. That's what the Springfield Armory XDS is all about. Small enough to carry, big enough to shoot comfortably, shockingly slim, single stack, with a 3.3-inch or 4-inch barrel, available in 9, 40, or 45. Highly accurate, great trigger, fiber optic front sight for fast aimed fire. The XDS at Springfield-Armory.com. That's Springfield-Armory.com.
Back with you, 866-TALK-GUN. Last caller's talking about he has a rifle that shoots right where it's supposed to, first shot. Well, first 2 shots, maybe 3 shots, and then over the course of firing 10 shots, and this is with a 270, the point of impact shifts 2 inches. And my response to that is, yeah, that's normal. Not all rifles do that, and it is individual. Some rifles react more than others when they heat up. But there's a reason you have to let a barrel cool down when you're sighting in. Because imagine you're sitting there shooting, and you're trying to get sighted in, and you've shot 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 shots, and you keep adjusting the crosshairs. Well, you're adjusting the crosshairs from the point of impact on a heated barrel. And particularly if it's a hunting rifle, you want to make sure that you are all set up for the first shot from a cold rifle, because that's what you're going to be using. So one of the tricks that I do, because it takes a while to cool a barrel down. I mean, like 30 minutes. When I'm going to go out to the range and sight in a rifle or do do some shooting with rifles, I try to take 3 of them. That way I can rotate them out and have them cooling down. When I was at the FTW Ranch 3 weeks ago, and we were shooting, 6.5 Creedmoors and the 375 Ruger. The 375 Ruger heated the barrel so much, so fast, just the load and everything. And we were shooting some, and people say, yeah, well, so what? It's a dangerous game rifle. Yeah, but we were shooting them at 500 yards. We're doing some serious, I don't know if you call it 500 yards long range shooting, but we're trying to hit things, and the point of impact would shift. Now, to be fair, most people don't shoot 375 Rugers 15 or 20 times in a row. And we're heating them up to the point where, wow, you can't touch the barrel. You can't do anything. And you got to be careful. You could actually damage the barrel. Don't want to be doing that. But I guess the question is, do you think I'm being too cavalier? Should we worry about that kind of point of impact shift? Or is that something you've seen in your experience? 866-TALK-GUN. Line 2, John's with us out of Grand Forks, North Dakota. John, what happened, man?
Well, I'd like to, with your permission later, if you're interested, I'd like to comment on that last caller. But my call was all about, in the last week or two, we had a police shooting where the person was shot. And was I have thought often that I don't do concealed carry, and I'm starting to think more about it, but it was a block away from my house, and but the whole thing about now we got 2 police officers filing in their office now till they figure this darn thing out. But it was 2 people. One guy was on warrants that got shot, and a woman, and they both were armed, and evidently they were stopped. The policeman gave them orders to put their gun down, and of course, the woman did. She laid her gun on the ground and put her hands up behind her head, and the man refused to listen, and he got himself shot. Well, excuse me, people. I'm going to listen to whatever the police officer tells me, and if I got a complaint, I'll do it later.
I think you're right on the money, John. I mean, and people don't understand that this is a life and death situation. It's your life. The police are already on the triggers. They're ready to pull the trigger if you do not comply. When they say drop the gun, you have about 1 to 2 seconds to save your life. And you better drop. And the whole, but I'm the good guy, but I can explain. Are you kidding me? Get over your testosterone, that poisoning thing that happens. So you notice the woman put her gun down and lived, didn't get shot. And the guy got shot because he didn't. Put it down, drop it, do whatever you got to do. Do whatever they tell you to do. Sort it out later. Live another day. But get over this thing of, but I'm right, so I don't have to pay attention to you. You could be right, and you could get shot too. gunsmithing with us. It's the short one, so if you get on, you got to make your point quickly. If you would, please. Bob's on line 1 out of Montana. Bob, you're up on Point of Impact.
Hi, Tom. Good to speak to you. I was just going to state that I have a pre-64 glass-bedded Winchester Model 70 featherweight. It's a 264 Magnum. You know, I love it because the bullet gets there before it leaves the barrel. However,
yeah,
I will guarantee you that the first 3 shots out of that rifle will group in an inch at 100 yards. The fourth one is going to be 4 inches high and to the right at about a 45-degree angle.
Wow.
And, yeah, okay. However, it has never affected my hunting at all because I can count on the fingers of one hand the times I've got a second shot on an elk, a whitetail, or a muley.
And by the time if you were to ever get to a fourth shot, it's because the critter is moving and you're trying to put it down at that point. It's already hit. There's no reason to be shooting a fourth shot at anything you haven't already hit. So
that's true.
So let me ask you: is this fourth-shot flyer is the fourth-shot flyer always repeatable?
Yep, it's as dependable as a Rolex watch.
Well, that's my point there. I appreciate. By the way, that's a great rifle, 264 Win Mag, pre-64 Model 70. I have one of those, but not in the featherweight. I've got the one they call the Westerner, the 26-inch barrel. Very cool. Let me see if I can get in one more call here. Let's see. Paul is on line 4 out of California. Paul, I got about a minute, so dive into it, please.
Howdy, Tom. I got my Ruger number 1B 26-inch 30-06 Springfield when I was 21. I'm 53 now, and the thing is just beating me to death. With my 58 grains of Weimar 4350 and a 165 Hornady flat base. I am considering unscrewing the pipe and putting on a 25-06. I was wondering if you'd try to talk me out of that.
I wouldn't if you would prefer the 30-06, but I would consider using another recoil pad, something that really takes some of the sting out of it, and there's some really good ones out there. If I remember, that comes with a fairly thin little rubber pad, and if you were to have it not restocked, but basically gunsmith to the point of doing that. But having said that, if you want to rebarrel, I love the 25 calibers. I would sure give some real consideration to going to the 6.5 Creedmoor. Honestly, I would.
Or 6.5-06, or I was thinking 257 Weatherby, even though the cases are kind of a nightmare.
Well, the problem is you're not dropping down in recoil. You're staying with a big case, blowing a lot of powder out there, and it is absolutely unnecessary. That would be the point. You can shoot just as flat with a 6.5 Creedmoor. You can kill things just as dead with a 6.5 Creedmoor, and you will reduce your recoil by 40%.
Yep, I've never pulled the trigger on anything that didn't die on that 06. So thank you.
Yep, there it is. I wish you luck with it, but that's the whole thing. Is we get caught up with, well, I like a 25-06 is just a 30-06 neck down. The others. Oh my gosh, a 257 Weatherby. Great caliber, but once again, you're pushing a bullet really fast, burning a lot of powder. You're not reducing your recoil. You drop down to a 6.5 Creedmoor, you're pushing the bullet slower, but you can use high ballistic coefficient bullets that are not going to drop as much, not be pushed around by the wind as much, and with good construction on the bullets, they will absolutely anchor your animal with the first shot if you hit them in the right place. Oh, yeah, and with lower recoil, you are probably more likely to hit them in the right place. That's kind of where we go. Yeah, there's a lot of choices for 6.5 ammo these days. All right, so what is on your mind? We're going to be open lines for you in the next hour, 866-TALK-GUN. If it's about guns, we talk about it here because this is Gun Talk.